to the show. Mary Poppins Returns is out next Christmas, and Disney's got a slew of other new films on the way. Here to tell us what else the studio has coming out is EW's resident Disney expert, my favorite, Jessica Dershowitz. Welcome, Jess.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, let's get things popping and talk Mary Poppins. Yes. Okay, so Emily Blunt starring in it, correct? It's a remake of the original.
It's a sequel.
It's a sequel.
So here's the thing. The original Mary Poppins is based on these books by P.L. Travers, and there are multiple books in this series. So this is touching in with the characters and Jane and Michael Banks, all of them at another point in life. Now Jane and Michael are grown up. Michael has children of his own, and Mary Poppins, as the title suggests, returns.
An update of Mulan comes out in 2018. Now, this marks the studio's second $100 million movie directed by a female after Ava DuVernay's Wrinkle in Time. Will this be a musical, a drama, a little bit of both? What can we expect?
Here's the thing. It's not really clear yet. Both Nikki Caro, the director, and Disney have kind of gone back and forth on whether or not it's going to be a musical, if there are going to be the same songs from the original movie in it or not. I think fans are really eager to find out which way they're going to go. Personally, if they don't have I'll Make a Man Out of You in there, I will be very upset.
You're going to be angry.
But I'll be in the seats either way.
Okay. All right. Jon Favreau is directing an update of The Lion King. Yes, it features Donald Glover as Simba and James Earl Jones
coming back as Mufasa. Isn't that exciting?
That's great. Now, will this be live action, animation, or a combination of both? What can we expect?
It's a live action remake. Oh. It is, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of motion capture and CGI the same way Jon Favreau did with The Jungle Book, which was incredibly well received. Disney was very happy with that, so it's not surprising that they would hand him the keys again on another similar animal-centric franchise.
Okay. An adaptation of Dumbo is being helmed by Tim Burton. Now, will Johnny Depp play the magic feather?
That is an excellent question. We do know that Danny DeVito is going to be the ringmaster. Colin Farrell is in talks to star in it, and it's going to have a mix of live action and animated elements.
It's an interesting choice, Tim Burton, don't you think?
Well, he did Alice in Wonderland. I think it's got that same sort of fantastical vibe to it. If you remember the original one, there's that trippy, like, Elephants on Parade segment in it, and that seems like total Tim Burton territory.
Okay, now, the new Aladdin is being directed by Guy Ritchie.
I know, right?
Your face says it all.
You know what? It's an interesting choice. It's not what I would have imagined, but Disney has been killing it with these, and they obviously are looking for some sort of a vision from this. And, you know, again, I'll be there.
And Will Smith is rumored to be playing the genie. What can you tell us?
I mean, how can you touch what Robin Williams did in the first one? But if there's anybody with that sort of like a larger-than-life personality that could do it, Will Smith's definitely up there.
Oh, well, Jessica, are there any other movies that you're psyched to see?
Oh, my God. Well, Disney's been doing so many of these, and they're doing so well for them, and it's obviously a model that's working. I personally cannot wait to see what Emma Stone does with Cruella de Vil.
That's going to be good.
It's going to be a very fashion-y, super exciting type of thing. Mary Poppins. I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda's in it, Emily Blunt. It's just, that's going to be
and
amazing.
Angela Lansbury.
Yes.
Don't forget Angela Lansbury.
Certainly not.
And Meryl Streep.
Yes.
Can't go wrong with those three.
Just a minor, modest cast.
No names that we've never heard of.
No.
We'll be right back with more show. Welcome back, gang. With the success of films like Deadpool, Logan, and Wonder Woman, Hollywood's going all in on superhero movies for adults. And while I love a brooding crusader as much as the next gal, I can't help but wonder if we're missing out on some of the kid-friendly heroes of yesteryear. Have superheroes gone too dark? Here to discuss is co-host of the Moms Podcast and Penn's own Mamarazzi, Melissa Gerstein, executive editor of Entertainment Weekly, Carla Sasenko, and comedian, writer, and superfan, Mike Lawrence. Welcome to the show, gang. Mike, we'll start off with you because you have a superfan t-shirt on. Yeah. Okay, so superheroes seem to be extremely dark these days. I mean, Christopher Nolan's Batman is not like Adam West at all. And of course, Val Kilmer and George Clooney, not brooding, not at all. So what's up with that? Why do you think superhero films are so dark?
I think it's because adults are ashamed to admit that they like something meant for children. That's literally what it is. Like, there used to be comic books, and now we say graphic novels.
Right.
It's just this shame. Like, there's so much shame in nerd culture that if we make it mature and take it away from kids, then it feels like it's ours again.
Are you ashamed?
Oh, yeah. I shouldn't like this stuff anymore. I should have been able to move on. Like that's what all nerd culture is. It's nostalgia based, you know. It in the same way adults have to like take holidays and just add alcohol to them. That's the grim and gritty superhero movie.
Yes, that makes so much sense. Carla, what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I would argue that not all superhero movies right now are super dark. I mean, I think that I don't know if you guys have seen Wonder Woman yet, but it's certainly not something for a 5-year-old. I mean, it's about World War I and, you know, the beginning of chemical weapons. So it's certainly serious, but there's also a lot of lightheartedness in it, and it's certainly an empowering movie for young girls and boys. And so I don't know, but I also think like the world has changed too, and that's kind of where some of the darkness comes from, unfortunately. I think that it's just not, you know, I would love to watch the Adam West Batman, but I don't know that it would do very well right now.
Wait, as a mom, Melissa, what do you make of the current crop of superhero films?
Well, just to push the conversation forward, I think Hollywood has become more violent, period. I mean, I have clear memories seeing Superman and Christopher Reeves with my family, and I must have been 7 or 8 years old, and it was a family outing and a family adventure.
Lois gets murdered by an earthquake.
I think we need to create more Captain Underpants. I think, honestly, there's something about a family going to a movie together. Hollywood has gotten darker, and it's a shame that these kids are remembering the fighting and the violence versus the plot and the whole story behind it and the empathy. So I'm like a little bit struggling because I understand that action is exciting and that, you know, sells tickets.
Right.
However, as a mom of 3, a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old, it would be really nice to go to the movies as a family where we could all see something as a family.
Now, Mike, you want to weigh in here.
Oh yeah. Lois gets murdered by an earthquake in that movie before Superman reverses it. That's pretty violent.
It's one scene. I mean...
Yeah, but that's really violent.
Well, I'm just saying it's one scene. I think all these superhero movies are becoming violent as a whole throughout the entire movie. I mean, it's really, really dark.
That's the thing. Like, I think movies have always had like a dark sinisterness. The Wicked Witch dies at the end of, you know, Wizard of Oz. All the Disney villains, like Scar gets murdered by hyenas, like devoured by hyenas. They
I know
all
what you
fall
mean,
to
though.
death.
I think there's
a difference between
graphicness.
Correct. There's a difference between a quick
movies.
death scene in Frozen, the parents died, okay, moving on, now the sisters are going to fall in love, versus an entire film having blood and crazy rockets and explosions and fear throughout the entire film.
I wonder if it has to do with the audience, though, you know, because like Captain Underpants, which people love right now, like Zootopia. I watched Zootopia and I was like, this is the perfect movie for kids and adults because it's really smart, it's really sarcastic, but it has wonderful messages of empathy and all of us getting along. I think that the superhero movies of today are not for little kids.
Really quick, let's just pull back and have some fun. Michael Keaton or Christian Bale?
Oh my God, easy.
All right, well, Carla, you go first.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
100%.
Okay,
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Mike, something tells me you're not going to say Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I mean, just as a Batman, yeah, I'd go Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, I believe the different Bruce Wayne and Batman as separate characters from him more.
Let's shift gears and talk about Jessica Chastain. She recently made news at Cannes when she made remarks about women in film. Let's roll to that clip and then let's have another conversation afterwards, shall we? All right, let's do it.
For the most part, I was surprised with the representation of female characters on screen in these films. And I do hope that when we include more female storytellers, we will have more of the women that I recognize in my day-to-day life.
Carla, really quickly, do you think Jessica has a point?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that the issue of representation, not just around women, but around people of color, around people of all genders and sexual orientation is a conversation that's worth having. I mean, we saw it with Oscar So White a couple years ago, and that was a really important conversation to have, and I think has started to shift things a bit, probably not as much as we want or as quickly as we want. And I think the issue of female characters is the same thing, and female agency, and not just letting them be the sidekick or, you know, the older aunt who's no longer sexy, you know. And I think that that's why people are kind of throwing their arms around Wonder Woman, because she feels like a different character and she feels empowered. But then there are other people who say, well, no, in some ways this is kind of more of the same. And I think that it's kind of going to be a long, slow road, and we need more people like Jessica Chastain, who are incredibly talented and incredibly powerful and can change Hollywood just speaking up.
Well, you mentioned Wonder Woman. It's done extremely well at the box office.
Crazy, wow.
Crazy numbers at the box office. Women around the country have been celebrating this film. Finally, we have an empowered woman. She's not the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
She's saving the day. Chris Pine is actually the sidekick.
Yeah.
But Mike, you don't seem to love this as much as some of the other people have seen it.
Yeah, it wasn't a good movie.
Okay.
And I think it was sexist. I honestly do.
Wait, what?
Because the whole movie
Are you
is...
just being contrarian here?
No, this is my problem with the movie. There is so much mansplaining. She is from a, land of only women. Mm-hmm. And so much of the movie, if you pay attention, is just guys explaining to her how man's world works.
But isn't that sort of the fish out of water theme there? She also happens to speak 10,000 different languages.
What it says
she
to
happens
me,
to be the smartest woman always in the room.
But it says to me, it's like if you are raised only by women, then you still need so much explained to you. That's how it came off to me.
I think it's more, if you're raised on an island and you haven't been exposed to the outside world, you might have a question or two about things. All right, Melissa, have you seen it?
I'm excited to see it.
Okay.
I'm going to take my daughter, who's 12. She's got a lot of buzz going on with her circle of friends, so that's exciting,
Mike, come back anytime.
Thanks.
Carla, Melissa, you two, you guys have been fantastic.
Thank you.
I like it when you all mix it up. Yeah, you defended yourselves like superheroes, though. Thanks, everyone, and we'll be right back with more show. Sat down with one of the stars of the new blockbuster, The Mummy, Annabelle Wallis. And this actress has got it all: intelligence, charm, and one style and wardrobe. Take a look. Let's talk about The Mummy.
The Mummy.
Okay, you play an archaeologist.
I do.
And you star opposite Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise,
The
yes.
veteran Tom Cruise. Was he intimidated by you?
Well, I think I'm quite a force to behold. I got to play quite a strong woman on screen, but I do think I bring that into my own life every day. But, he's a strong guy. He can handle it.
I heard that you got a little nervous, maybe knackered. You walked into a glass wall? What happened there?
Well, I think I had to diffuse my intellect and, charm. So, yes, I was walking through the Natural History Museum and I was, showing Tom and the director that I'd done my work and I had, all this knowledge about Egypt, and I was kind of showing off and I went, how do you guys feel about that? And I walked straight into a glass wall. So, yes, it was kind of embarrassing, and Tom has not let me live it down since.
How do you play that off? Do you say I meant to do that, or?
No, I whimpered, and I said, Tom Cruise, where were you in my moment of need? Where was your hand to stop me? Yeah. That's what I did.
You all seem to have a real palpable chemistry, a Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner sort of energy.
Oh, yes, that was one of our references.
Oh, fantastic. So what was your chemistry like off camera?
Well, there's such an amazing energy around Tom and Jake Johnson, and we have Russell Crowe and Sophia Boutella, and we just there were such long days on a movie this size. It's really hard work, but, Tom is a real joker, and he's really, really funny and charming, and it's just great fun to go to work every day.
What else would we be surprised to learn about Mr. Cruise? I saw you
He
dancing with him on the Graham Norton show.
And he pretends he doesn't, but he does love it. So I think every morning I tried to make him do a dance with me just to kind of get the morale up. Yeah. And now, now whenever he sees me in a public setting, he kind of runs away because he knows I'll get my snake hips out.
Let's talk stunts.
Yes.
So I want to get this right. There was a huge stunt in the movie that involved floating at zero gravity and doing 64 takes?
Yes. We went in. There's only 4 planes in the world that, you can achieve weightlessness. You can go into zero G. And we went to France and we went up to 20,000 feet in a plane. We turned the nose up vertically, went up to 40,000 feet, and then launched forward. And in that launch, you go into weightlessness and you have 30 seconds to shoot the scene. And we did it 64 times. And the thing is, in a plane like that, it's called the Vomit Comet for a reason. Because if you can imagine the worst turbulence you've ever felt in your life, 64 times, unfortunately, some of our crew, as we were shooting the tumbling scenes, they were being sick into their little sick bags.
Now,
Not the most elegant of days.
No. Did you lose your lunch?
I didn't. Only because I didn't want to be known as the girl who was sick on Tom Cruise.
Not after walking into the glass.
Exactly. It didn't start off too well, so I wanted to end on a high.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
What was he like to work with?
He is a force field. He is, I have a tendency to attract the alpha male, let's say, so it was interesting to be, acting across Tom and Russell, and Russell is just such an incredible actor, and so inspiring, and he teaches us all so much, and his voice is so commanding. But again, another joker. I would do these scenes, and I'd have to come in and stand up to the two of them, and they'd both be kind of rolling their eyes, or making jokes, or talking over my lines. It was very, very silly. But yeah, lovely. He's a lovely man.
What advice about the craft did Tom Cruise give you?
The advice that stayed with me the most was be kind and work hard. As you know, in our industries, it's very small, and if you work hard and you're kind to people, that pays off in the end. So I think that's what it was really something that stayed with me, that fuels me, and I'm very grateful to him for it.
Speaking of co-stars, we recently heard from another one of your Mummy co-stars, Jake Johnson, and he was crushing pretty hard.
Hey, I'm Jake Johnson from the new movie, The Mummy. The movie has an amazing cast, and I'm going to tell you why they're so great in a segment called Co-Star Crush. Tom Cruise. What makes Tom Cruise so great is that he is the hardest working man I've ever worked with. He cares about his co-stars, and he's willing to get hurt for your entertainment. Annabelle Wallis. I love Annabelle. I loved working with her. She was the heart of this movie. She dealt with Tom and Russell and was kind of the glue that makes the mummy work, and she is wildly fashionable. Russell Crowe. I didn't get to work with Russell Crowe very much on this movie, but he built on the soundstage in England a replica pub of his pub in Australia and threw a cast and crew party there one night. And if you don't love that about the guy, there's something wrong with you. Sofia Boutella. What's to love about her? She is awesome, and there's only one person that could do the mummy. The way that she moves through planet Earth is otherworldly, and she's kind, and she's cool, and she's smart, and she crushes it in this movie. Courtney B. Vance. I love Courtney the most. Courtney's my guy. I got to do a lot of press with Courtney. We got to be paired up together. Courtney's Johnny Cochran is a thing of legend. If you haven't seen it, see it. Courtney is funny, he's cool, he's kind. Anything Courtney does, watch. Alex Kurtzman, easy to love. He is a man of his word. He is trustworthy. When I was about to take this movie, I contacted the great Olivia Wilde, who had worked with him, and I asked about Alex Kurtzman's character, and she said he is smart, he is kind, and she would work with him again in a heartbeat, and she was right. To see for yourself why this cast is so awesome, see the movie The Mummy. It's in theaters everywhere, June 9th.
Thank you to Annabelle and Jake. Now, the creator and star of the Netflix series Dear White People recently stopped by to answer some questions about their show. And the conversation went off the rails just a little bit. Check it out.
Hello, I am Justin Simeon.
I'm Logan Browning.
And we are from the show Dear White People.
We're going to tell you a little about it in a piece we like to call Dear Curious People.
Dear Curious People, what's it about?
Well, Dear White People is about a group of black kids at a mostly white Ivy League college trying to figure out how to be themselves and also navigate this world where they're not necessarily represented.
What are some of the themes?
Racism, for one.
Race comes up in the show?
A little bit.
Okay, all right.
Maybe in the title.
Not what I intended, but okay. But also I think like finding yourself, finding your own voice, identity certainly comes up.
Gender, sexuality, relationships, a lot of relationships.
What was your role in it, Justin?
I created the show, and I directed and wrote a lot of it, and as well as the film that it's based on.
And how about you, Logan?
I play Samantha White, and I am the revolutionary on campus.
Oh, yes, revolutionary. Okay. All right.
What was your collaboration like on set?
Gosh, I wish it was as smooth and buttery as this, as your voice. But
nice.
It was pretty close, though. I'd say. I don't know. The moment I met Logan, saw her version of Sam, I was starstruck. So for me, it was just about giving this very talented young woman leeway to explore and find the character.
And Justin really has created this multi-protagonist show, so he's led all of us into these really specific characters that people really get to fall in love with.
Were cast members encouraged to improvise, or did they stick to the script?
A little
The
bit
words
here
are
and
so
there.
good. We stick
Thanks.
to the words.
We tried. You
Yeah.
know, we tried to give you guys good things to say.
Does it attack provocative topics head on, or do you play it safe?
It's very head-on in dealing with controversial topics. Because listen, these are all the things that we've needed to talk about out aloud for a long time, and that's sort of what the show is about: is bringing to the surface the things we'd rather keep hidden.
That sounds really good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I wanna binge watch it.
You should.
You
it's
should.
it's available on Netflix.
We like that B word.
I'd start right now, but I'm expecting a phone call from Donna, my company's HR rep.
Oh.
Oh, okay. That's specific.
Yeah, very.
Okay, Donna, come through.
There was a misunderstanding on an elevator.
Was there a camera in the elevator?
There was, unfortunately. I'm hoping they'll keep me on if I accept a pay cut. That wouldn't be a problem for me. I live with my uncle.
What else? How are you just doing generally?
I've been better, but I'm going to try to forget my problems and watch your show.
Oh, you know what?
Perfect for that.
I think it's a great escapist show. Won't make you think. It'll just take your mind off of the troubles of the
Watching,
world.
for sure.
That sounds great. Thanks, you guys. You've been wonderful.
Thank you.
Obviously.
You've been better. So this has been Dear Curious People.
Be sure to check out Dear White People on Netflix.
Nicholas here. Oh, hey, Donna. Let me get my notes.
Hello,
Donna?
Donna.
Hey gang, welcome back to the show. And actor Topher Grace dropped by to reminisce about some of his past projects, and he was downright graceful. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Topher Grace. In my time as an actor, I've worked on a ton of fun projects, and today I'm going to tell you about a few of them in a piece that I did not name because I like puns, but not this much. Topher's oeuvre.
Maybe I'm here, but you're not. Hello?
That 70 show was the first acting job I ever had. One of my favorite stories was there were these golf carts where producers and stuff could drive around the lot, and we took it to this hill, and we thought that if we kind of like got some speed going down a hill and hit a speed bump, we could catch some air. I mean, like, you know, this is like what you do when you get really bored after doing a show for a couple of years. So I think it was after hours, and we flipped it over, which we still thought was pretty cool. And then the security guard came up. The show wasn't doing that well at this time. I don't think it had kind of caught on yet. But he said, like, excuse me, like, what, you know, you flipped over a golf cart, like, who are you? You know, get off the lot. But I need your names. And I said, I'm Danny Masterson, this is Ashton Kutcher, and we left. Excuse me.
Seth has to be excused.
Traffic was my first film, and what a really intense film to start on, and also a really intense way to get spoiled with your first film, because Steven Soderbergh's a genius. Being able to work with him and that whole amazing ensemble. The thing I remember the most from Traffic is the first day. I was so scared. I'd never really done a scene with anyone that I knew growing up. I had watched a lot of Michael Douglas films, and I had the scene where I had to kind of yell at him in a car.
I'm sorry, you're telling me that you're telling me that white people will still be going to law school?
And as we were walking to the car, we were really shooting on location in the Cincinnati ghetto. Someone kind of like ran through the set, and we had to cut and go back. And then some cops showed up on the scene, like literally ruining one of our takes. And Michael Douglas goes, he went that way, like he was back in his Streets of San Francisco vibe. And they go, thanks, Michael Douglas.
No, leave emotion at the door.
That's right, Topher.
Just Ocean's 11, I have kind of cameos in Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12, where I play myself, but like a really even douchier version of myself. That was the first time that I got to work with Brad Pitt, who I did War Machine with this last year. I realized years later, now working with him again, it's not a coincidence when these guys do as well as they've done for as long as they've done. They're like great CEOs of acting or something.
Dan, this isn't what it looks like.
The first day of In Good Company, I worked with some movie stars, but I thought, oh my gosh, this is like official. I'm opposite Dennis Quaid in this movie. You know, most of our scenes are me and him together, and it's kind of a little contentious between us, between our characters. And the first day we shot his coverage first, meaning the camera was over my shoulder onto him. And then over lunch, they turned the camera and the lighting around to be over his shoulder onto me. And there was just a stand-in there. And the stand-in said, I'll be reading Dennis's lines. He's not gonna be here for your side of the scene. I kind of went like, okay, this is gonna be like 3 or 4 months of like not being able to act. But then I thought, I guess that's how it's done. And I did a take, and it wasn't as good. You know, you're doing it with someone who's not Dennis. And then he was laughing. He came out from behind the camera and he was just watching and wanted to see what I would do. What a jerk.
When are you gonna give a guy a break?
Spider-Man 3 was like the biggest production I'd be a part of. I was cast because I kind of looked like Tobey Maguire. So what that has done for my life is people come up to me now and go, Spider-Man! And I go, yes, or wait, what do you mean? Like, sometimes I'll say no, and then they'll say, no, you were the guy, the reporter. And I go, oh yeah, okay, that is me. Or sometimes I just say yes and I sign Tobey Maguire's picture.
Problem solved. I'll just be an astronaut.
Take Me Home Tonight was the first movie I produced. It was such a great time. That is like such a fantastic ensemble. Anna Faris and Chris Pratt, and Teresa Palmer, Dimitri Martin, Dan Fogler. There was so much talent on the set at any given moment, and it kind of felt like camp, like how you think, I can never go to camp again. You know, I'm like, you know, I'm too old to go to camp. I can't even be a counselor anymore. It's like, oh, we got one more summer of camp.
We are here to build.
War Machine is another great ensemble, you know, whether it's 70s Show or Traffic or, I mean, you know, whether it's a comedy or a drama, it's always better to have a great ensemble around you. And this is kind of both. It's kind of a comedic look at a really, really serious situation, you know, America's longest war in Afghanistan. And it was like all my favorite films that are about the military-industrial complex, which is, it's funny.
We can't help them and kill them at the same time. It just ain't humanly possible. No.
War Machine is on Netflix May 26th, and you know how that, you know, it's right in your house. Go watch it. It's really good. I'm really proud to be part of it. And I'm going to end this by actually saying oeuvre correctly. Thank you for watching Topher's oeuvre.
Thank you for your oeuvre, or whatever you're calling yourself these days. All right, gang, all you Master of None fans are in luck. I chatted with one of the creators of this hit Netflix series, Alan Yang, and we talked about everything from immigrant parents to the pressure of topping an award-winning first season. Watch this and learn from the master.
You had an amazing first season of Master of None. You won a Peabody, you won an Emmy, you're close to PEGOing or PEGOTting, you're on your way.
Is that the new one, PEGOT now?
Yeah.
Add the Peabody on there?
Yeah.
Great. Well, I'm 2/5 of the way there.
2/5 of the way there. You know, in the music industry, the sophomore album is always the most difficult one because, especially if you have an auspicious beginning, there's a lot of pressure. Do you feel that as well going into season 2? Did you feel that?
We didn't feel like it was pressure from anyone else necessarily. That was just all Aziz and me. You know, no one's harder on ourselves than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we really just didn't want to make a season just for the sake of making a season. We wanted to do a season if we had something we were really excited about. You know, we text ideas all the time, and we didn't want to even start or consider starting until we said, okay, this I think could top season 1. You know, if we work hard at it and execute it correctly, like we want to be more ambitious and take more risk.
First episode of season 2, set in Italy, black and white, Italian subtitles. That's ambitious.
That's an example,
That's
right?
an
And
example.
we were so happy that Netflix wasn't like, you guys are crazy. I mean, they were a little bit, but not so. They give us that freedom.
I was going to say, so when you walk into Ted Sarandos' office at Netflix, do you say, "Hey, Ted, buonasera, Ted, talk about," like, how does that work?
They're so supportive. We sent them the scripts. The scripts say, is subtitled Italian, subtitled Italian, subtitled Italian. This episode has no one from season 1 in it except for Dev. The secondary character is an 8-year-old boy from Modena. That's all part of it. I don't think that many shows came in with our premiere episode's going to be an homage to the DeSica classic Bicycle Thieves. Like it's pretty. We really, really appreciate how supportive they are and open-minded. We took some really big swings this season, and there was never any hard pushback. Sometimes they would say, "Hey, are you sure you have to do it this way?" And usually we were like, "Yeah." But we always want to hear smart people's opinions on these things, and our executives are really smart people. So they give us some notes sometimes, but it's really for the most part they trust us.
What other research went into helping prepare yourselves for season 2?
As best as we could, because Aziz and I didn't go to film school. We were Asian kids who had practical majors. I think he did business and I did biology or something. So that was kind of the opposite of film. So we're doing the best we can to educate ourselves. We watched Fellini, Antonioni, DeSica, and we did other kinds of research. In addition to watching movies, when there are episodes about characters who aren't necessarily exactly like us, for instance, there's one that involves a doorman, a cab driver, a cashier. We interviewed doormen, cab drivers. We interviewed some of our deaf performers for the section that took place in American Sign Language. And we did the research, and we got real stories as much as possible, and we were inspired by these real anecdotes that involved, triumphs, tragedies, funny stories, sad stories. We tried to put and marshal as much of those stories as possible and put them into the show.
Aziz is of Muslim descent. His parents are practicing Muslims. They appear on the show as well. Is there a pressure for him to, quote unquote, represent for the Muslim community? Does he speak to you about that at all?
It's a tricky thing, right? Because you never want to be in the position as a creator and an artist of the show where your responsibility is lying outside of the narrative. And what I mean by that is we're usually trying to tell the best story we can, convey the meanings we want to convey the messages we want to convey, and those aren't always political or representational messages. So there's a lot of factors at play. That being said, we know it's a privilege to have this show and to have this platform. So is that kind of stuff in our brains as we're thinking of these stories? Yes. Do we often talk about, we are going to represent Muslims in this way, we're going to send a message, a political message, an overtly political message? No. We generally almost always do not start with a political message. We start with a story and an idea and an emotion and something that we're passionate about, a story that we're passionate about telling. Sometimes a byproduct of that is Muslim characters are depicted in ways that they haven't been before, and to me that's a happy accident, that's a positive byproduct.
And your parents emigrated from Taiwan. Your father was a doctor, your mother was a teacher. You ended up at Harvard.
Yes.
So how did your parents react to your decision to go to Harvard and end up a funny man?
Yes. Well, externally, their response was, okay, sure, yeah, we'll support you.
Externally.
Internally, I'm sure, like, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? This is crazy. This is insane. This isn't what we moved to this country for him to do. But I've, ever since then, and it was, it's been touch and go. I was very lucky in the beginning of my career. I got, I wasn't unemployed and broke for that long. I was for a while, but.
But then you sold a lot of scripts in quick succession. That's great.
Yeah, no, I was very fortunate. And that stuff all kind of happens at its own pace, and it's not necessarily based on your merit. There's a lot of luck and opportunity involved. But even, year 3, 4, 5 into my career, my parents were still a little bit nervous because, it's a haphazard industry. There's a lot of randomness, as you know. But no, they are really supportive, progressive parents.
But in many ways, your story is the ultimate American dream, right? To have that huge a leap in one generation, right?
Yeah, I really think so. And I think my parents have kind of realized the same thing, because I think in retrospect, at the time, I'm sure they were scared, but the more I've talked to them about it, the more they've opened up. They said, well, listen, we let you do that because that's the reason we came to the country, so our kids could do something stupid, you know, like they could really try something stupid and have the freedom to pursue the arts of all things. I'm sure when they were growing up, that wasn't even a possibility. No. And to see that happen in one generation, that truly is one of the reasons why I love this country, you know, sort of without question. And regardless of the stuff that's happening now, I just really believe in the idea of America, and just I still think it's the best place in the world.
We don't necessarily often see Asian men as the love interest, and I think that's one of the great things about Master of None. And so much of the show is about the search for love. I have to ask you, when you go out on a date,
yeah,
are you fully present, or is there a part of you that's always thinking this could be great material for the show?
Don't get me in trouble.
No,
I'm always present. I'm always present. Yeah, it's a hazard. It's a hazard of dating. We apologize, everyone out there. But no, it is tough because we found that the best stuff is the personal stuff, and it's the stuff that you really can respond to emotionally because you were there. Mm-hmm. And there's something about the emotional truth of a literally true moment that sometimes can be hard to duplicate because the details matter, the specifics matter, and the setting and the character of who's there matters. So yeah, it's really tough. I mean, look, I try to be present. I try not to look at my phone.
Yeah.
I try to really be there, talk to someone, listen to them. I'm actually a decent listener, so yeah, it's not the worst.
What's the last question I asked you?
You asked if I was fully present on dates or if I was using it for material, which, you know what, a little of both.
Welcome back to the show. EW writer Jared Hall recently had a chat with Zoe Lister-Jones and Adam Pally from the movie Band-Aid, and they had a rocking good time. Check it out.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Lola. So let me tell you, I'm a fan of these two, big fan as individuals, but when you get Zoe Lister-Jones and Adam Pally together, they are a force to be reckoned with in Band-Aid. This movie, you two are phenomenal. This movie, I loved it so much, and everyone has to go check it out. Yeah. So when you're crafting this story, I guess this is the chicken or the egg question. Which came first? Did you know you wanted to do a movie where there was music, or did you want to like do something with a relationship? Where did it all start?
I think I've always been interested in exploring the nuances of relationships in my movies, and I think at this stage in my life, I was interested in really exploring like commitment and what it means to commit and why couples choose to stay together. And at the same time, I really wanted to start making music again. It's something that I used to do and had a lot of fun doing, and felt that was missing from my life. So I think it was like just the convergence of those two things simultaneously that led to a story about a couple who fights through music.
I don't think, as I understand, you didn't know each other all that well beforehand, right? On a scale then of, let's say, 1 to 10, like how challenging was it to really like get there right away to that appropriate level of, you know, intimacy and history that we need to see?
It wasn't that challenging. I mean, I think sometimes you kind of know people before you know them, and I think Zoe and I kind of had
That's really deep.
It's true though. I think we come from similar places, and we just kind of clicked, and so we would do rehearsals at her house that just felt really natural. It felt like a really easy working situation, and so when it was time to work, it just felt easy to me. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think because we played all the music live in the film, we also had to do like band practice a bunch, which I think was something I had never, like, that's a really vulnerable experience to like just like be alone with one other person and start singing together. I think it sort of fast-tracked our level of comfort with each other.
Can't be embarrassed.
Yeah. So you did have some like behind-the-scenes private jam sessions.
Yeah.
Oh, many, and I have most of them on my iPhone.
Oh, really? DVD extras? Will we see? You're letting out the secrets here. Now we're all going to want to see that stuff.
Yeah. And then we started just like learning the songs and making those our own. And then since our album actually came out today for the Dirty Dishes, and we've played a couple live shows, and we like to always throw a cover into those. So we did a DJ Khaled cover. And we just did a little Girls Just Want to Have Fun Cyndi Lauper cover.
Yeah? Okay, I will be downloading that album immediately. You had everything written, or did you guys allow yourself some kind of like organic improv?
The songs were written, I mean, Adam and Fred both kind of brought their own swagger
Fred
to
Armisen.
Fred Armisen.
Who we'll talk about in just a second.
Yeah, Fred Armisen plays our drummer. And in terms of the script, it was for the most part scripted, but I mean, obviously, both Adam and Fred are such brilliant improvisers that I never wanted them to feel like, you know, their wings were clipped. So there was room to play, but for
We
the
didn't
most
need
part-
to. We didn't really improvise that much. The script was so kind of tight that there was no reason to improvise.
The first time we see Fred Armisen, that scene, I was laughing so hard.
I just find him to be like, I would often say that he's the funniest person on set. I've never seen someone so funny on set in my entire life. Not even acting, just like everything Fred does is funny.
And is it accurate to say like he doesn't even try, it just kind of is?
I think he's trying.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
That's the way he's trying to communicate.
Yeah, I would say though he's just like a man who lives through bits.
Yeah.
Like that. It's like that's what's so funny about him is that you never know when he's being genuine and when it's a bit.
And that's what's so great. And I can't say enough good things about what it's like to work with him.
You made I guess, should we say, a pretty big point of it being an all-female production crew as well. Why was that so important to you?
I think it's something that I was really interested in exploring as an artist. Like I think something really special happens when women are together, and I wanted to see how that would translate in the context of filmmaking. And it was amazing. Like I think it was a set that was like very much free of ego. And I think in terms of the collaborative process, that is so enhancing to have everyone just really so supportive and so nurturing and also like super efficient.
If you could choose to film yourself having sex in front of 50 men or 50 women, you would always choose the women.
And I think it lent itself to, I mean, there are obviously a lot of emotionally really intimate scenes in addition to physically intimate scenes. And I think that that the energy really lent itself to just like a lot of freedom in terms of the spaces that we allowed ourselves to go.
Entertainment Weekly would just throw me to the curb if I didn't bring up happy endings, which you guys, the cast, you were so wonderful with gracing us, gifting us with that new episode last year at EW Pop Fest. Are there secret conversations happening of how else can we like kind of keep this new episode thing going?
No.
Short answer.
Short answer, no. It's so nice that you guys are like the show so much and love it.
Huge fans.
I honestly believe that if someone really, if people liked it as much as you guys did, then we would have already, there's like a billion networks and we're not on one of them. So like, if someone liked it, it would have been happening. But there are, I think especially between like me and David and Casey, we're trying to work on a lot of stuff together, especially in the coming couple of years. So I think we'll always be doing that.
Well, you two, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. The movie is fantastic. You also have to go buy the album as it is out, The Dirty Dishes. You watch the movie, you'll understand the band title. It's brilliant. Congratulations on it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And Lola, back to you.
Thanks, Jared. I'm definitely watching the movie and buying the album. And guys, that's our show. Thanks to all my guests. Don't forget to grab the Mary Poppins issue of Entertainment Weekly on newsstands now and at EW.com. Bye.